everyone, I'm Miss Danielle and I'm going to be reviewing 3 tips for your kip up. The first tip is going to be beginner, second is intermediate, and third is advanced. So we'll get started with the beginner tip. And what I'm going to have you guys do to practice your kip up, or if you're just trying to clean it up, I think this pose will definitely help. So advanced can use this as well, but if you're trying to learn your kip up, I think this is a great place for you to start. So if you are familiar with yoga, we have a plow pose, and that's what I'm going to have you guys practice today, because that's essentially the starting position of your kip up. And you're going to use the palms of your hands and stick them right into the ground. So I'll show you so we can practice this. Just holding it right here, and if you have a bun in your hair, you can make sure that bun is nice and squished onto the ground. So just really holding this nice and strong, and maybe even going over there. So practicing that. And that's your first tip. Moving on to tip number 2 for intermediate. If you've gotten that first step down and you want to try to get that kip up, you can move on to this next step. So what I'm going to have you guys do is practicing going into that position. We're up here. We're going to use this kind of like as a leverage. We're pushing down. We're going to put our weight into our hands here and push into a hip press. Yes, so what that's going to help you with is getting that motion of putting your feet down like you would and pushing them so they would be coming up. We're not going to practice fully getting up just so you can get that motion, and that way it stops yourself right here in a bridge. Again, I would say this technique is good because it's getting the motion of what's flipping over down into a hip press. Don't get too comfortable with this because you don't want to get stuck on how to get your body off the ground. But this is the next great step for you to feel that motion of putting all that weight into your hands and then pushing your body forward. So again, I'll show you that one more time. This is tip 2. We're up here. Our legs are coming down to the ground. It doesn't matter how far they are. But again, this is what's pushing you and putting all that weight into your hands to safely hip press. Okay? So for tip number 3, again, we went through those motions with tip 1 and 2, but for tip number 3, I'm going to have you guys start standing. Again, like I said, this is the more advanced tip that I'm giving out. So if you have that motion of being able to actually get your body off the ground more than just the hip press, I would move on to tip number 3, which my advice would be to start standing up. Sometimes it's a lot harder to lose your momentum when you're sitting down and trying to kip up all the way. So again, I would say that the best way for you to get that momentum and to be able to use all the energy you have would be to start standing up and roll into it. So I'll show you guys now. I hope those 3 tips were helpful for you guys. Again, we have a beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So you can see where you fall in those categories, and hopefully those tips will help you either clean up or start to gauge on how to get your kip up. Thank you.